Castro, Kofi Kinata, Baby Jet Asamoah-Gyan, and production by Kewa, one of the great producers of our time, with that beautiful song. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Celebrating Asamoah-Gyan, who has retired from football. If you haven't got his book, buy the book, Legendary. You will love it. You will love it. And you will love the conversation that's come up right now, because my guests are seated for a conversation on what's in the news. Alfred Thompson is a member of the National Communication Team of the New Patriotic Party. He's a former banker. And Timothy Atabwade Awotrim is a former MP for Bulsa North, and he is a former Shraj investigator.
Right.
And he speaks for the National Democratic Congress. Gentlemen, both of you, welcome to the show. Quick thoughts on Asamoah-Gyan. He's retired. What's your enduring memory of Asamoah-Gyan, Timothy?
Let me say good morning to your good self.
Yes.
And good morning to Mr. Thompson this morning, and to our viewers out there, and to your hardworking team. I can see today you're dressing, you look like you are going to a theater.
I am in the theater, man.
Maybe a theater of drama.
It's a media theater.
It's a media theater. You're coming to do surgery.
Call me Dr. Dave.
You're coming to do surgery.
Big time.
on some of the challenging issues that confront this government. And you know, human beings, we go to theater because our health bill is not functional, and we need to go and get surgery to get it done. So I like the way you are now poised to give surgery that session to the economic issues that are happening, so that we can see how we get our good health bill.
Yes, sir.
But the most important thing this morning is that God has given us life. His mercies endure us forever. And for Asamoah-Gyan, yesterday that I heard him saying that he's retiring from football. And with every profession, there comes a time in your life you must either retire, or even the vigor with which you pursue it, naturally you slow down. And the energy with which you go about, the enthusiasm, the interest would die down with age. But what was my surprise most was that he was retiring at the age of 37. Well, maybe that would be a football age, but looking at Asamoah, I think even his skin is older than the age that he put out there. Be that as it may, he may have to bring his expertise to bear on the local scene. He may have to bring his resources to put them into productive use in the youth, mostly who are frustrated by the challenges of this economy and doing all other things, including betting and whatnot, to eke an income for themselves. If they get a legendary footballer like Asamoah-Gyan, who has retired and is coming out with different paradigm of assisting the youth to come out from their quagmire, the challenges that they face in their day-to-day life, then it will be better for all of us as a country. We wish him well in his new endeavor.
All right.
We wish him so well, good health, and that he should be more open and charitable like other sportsmen have used their time and the resources to benefit not just Ghanaians or where they emanated from, but for humanity at large.
Okay.
And I think that I should wish him well.
Thank you.
He has done his best for this country, even though there were some challenges, but that is left to his conscience and his God.
So he's done well.
He's done well.
Mr. Thompson, enduring memory of Baby Jet.
This preacher.
It's not about preacher.
Beginning
the
of
full commentator.
It's quite. Anyway, good morning.
Morning.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long
I thought I would be seeing you in Asen North, but up to now I haven't seen you there.
Do you determine? Do you have his program of
You want to see me
movement?
there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
You should be there. You should be
What
there
in
to see
particular
is
makes
going
you
there.
think that way?
And good morning to Timo.
Good morning.
Investigative narcotics.
No, Shraj.
Shraj.
Oh, Shraj.
Ex-Shraj investigator.
I was an investigator.
Yeah. I'll ask you about that soon, don't worry.
Yeah.
Shraj, eh? Okay. All right. I understand. To Asamoah-Gyan, I wish him the best. It's been some good years of playing football. He had his ups and downs, as human as he is.
Yep.
He had his challenges. I remember, is it the South African match that Ghanaians took him on? And he was so bitter about it because he wasn't happy that, listen, I've done so much. So it's not just one mistake that you just put me on the board and chop me like no one's business. But it's part of the human life. I mean, whatever you do, wherever you go, once there's a slight shift from the way they expect you to go, you would always be chopped off, and you have to bear it. You have to hold yourself up towards it, and he's done well. I mean, for Ghana and for the world. And we say kudos to him, wish him the best for the future. At 37, he's still young, so he has a lot of years ahead of him to do so much more. Maybe opening an academy, maybe helping other people to come up, maybe doing so many things in the football fraternity that will help him shine better.
And he promotes boxing too, so
boxing as well.
Yeah, he's busy.
Okay. So that's good. So I wish him all the best for this, and the future is bright.
All right. Great stuff. I'll applaud it for Baby Jet Asamoah Gyan, number 3, did a lot for Ghana. Top scorer, lots of goals, lots of memories. Wishing him the very best. If you haven't bought the book, go get the book and read it. Legendary.
What's the title of his book?
Legendary.
It's not Asamoah Gyan.
No, it's legendary, but it's spelled Le and then the Gyan, Gyan, Dari. So it's a play on the word legendary.
We have the legendary and we have I'm Not Yvonne.
Yes, I Am Not Yvonne Nelson. So that's a big one. I know you're
and you too, you are writing another one. I'm Not 37.
No, I'm not writing that one.
you don't determine what you should
stuff
write.
that I do. But let's talk about stuff that you did in the past. What was it like being a banker? Because you were a banker for so many years.
It's not been easy. It's not an easy world. To tell you the truth, I don't like stuff that are just, always doing the same thing. I always want to explore and put in more things. So I moved from department to department as a banker, from one end to another, from the front desk to the back desk to the marketing to everywhere, operations, everything that would make me not do the consistent things.
Is it true that everybody gets to sit as a teller when you join the bank?
Not true.
It's not true.
No, it's not true.
All right.
It depends on which bank. And seriously, people come in without being tellers or being an operational person. Someone can be in a bank and will be in the HR department from A to Z. They will never go as a teller. They will never go as an operations person. And when I say operations, the pure banking work.
Right.
And they will never be in the corporate banking or other marketing or anything. So they'll just go and do HR and they'll do it to the end. So it's every bank and what they want from you. They just have to tap into your potential. They have to see what you can do, and then they would, from time to time, they move you to try and see where they can get the best out of you. Because someone might come in and they say, listen, I want to do operations, but you end up seeing that the person is doing better marketing than operations. And so you always have to adjust as a leader within the system and see what would best suit and benefit the bank. But it's not easy. I can tell you that it's not an easy job, especially where when President Kufuor was leaving, he brought in some foreign banks, especially the Nigerian banks, and the challenges that came to. When I came into Ghana at first, I worked with ADB. Then when the first Nigerian bank, that was Standard Trust Bank, now UBA, they came into the system. We were part of the first few that went in there to bring the challenging face of the banking industry, because we believe that, listen, you don't have to walk into the bank before you can become a banker. You have to sit, or you have to go out there and go and market and go and make sure that the people that you want to come and bank with you are people that they are ready and they are willing to be bankers. Sometimes when we started, it was very challenging because people didn't believe in the Nigerian banks. But we told ourselves that we are come to revolutionize the banking system, and so we moved to every hook and cranny. We had a zero account opening. At that time, we hadn't started that, and you can open an account with a zero balance, and then you can start from the scratch.
Wow.
And we'll help you build up a business. So it made that difference in the banking system. You saw that the whole banking system in Ghana started changing. Even the commercial bank started moving to customers now to go and pick up cash, to go and see them, to go and solicit for their accounts and everything. Because we are not sitting to joke with it. And it helped a lot to change the banking system. Now it's evolving again, and you realize that it's moving from the normal banking system of, they have money, they've put it in a what you call overnight lending, they've used it among themselves to thinking outside the box to make your bank brighter and stronger. Because if you go and look at just bonds and things, I bet you bend your back.
Why do you think that a lot of young graduates want to enter the banking system? Are they being sold some kind of a shiny dream?
You know, one thing that people believe in, when you go out into the open world and as a banker or even as a branch manager, they think the money and the vote is yours. So people have the idea that once you're a banker, you have access to all their money, so you should be able to help in anything that anyone needs. But it doesn't work that way.
There was pressure on you as a banker?
Oh yes, there is. There is a lot of pressure. People believe that you can, I mean, when you tell them that, listen, even as a banker, I don't have money on me, they don't believe that. Oh, but you have an ATM card, you can always call buying huna, and I said, you can go into my account and you might not find anything there. Then they said, no, but you're a banker, you have access to the money, what is your problem? And we tell them that no, that is not your money.
So how did you feel with this young ABSA guy who was caught up in this stealing of people's deposits on his way to Dubai with his girlfriend? He was now.
It's pressure. Sometimes it's pressure, and sometimes the over anxiety of trying to please people out there. If you are not, the basic thing is also the upbringing. Because I remember when I was entering ADB. My aunt at that time was the director of foreign affairs at foreign operations at Bank of Ghana. And she said that, you know what, banking is not easy. Banking is difficult, but don't disgrace the family name.
One time.
And she told me, I trust you. I know you, Alfred, and I know what you can do and what you can do. And so I know you will not disgrace us. And my mom will also tell you, listen, you have a name to protect. So don't do things that people will be doing.
Good advice they gave you.
Yeah.
Awesome people. Shout out to them for giving good advice. Now to you, Timothy. So you used to be an investigator at SHRAJ, Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice.
Rightly so.
What were you investigating? What was that like?
Yeah. You see, the 1992 Constitution had in it institutions that would protect the rights of the citizenry, looking at the trajectory of our democracy mixed with coup d'etats and an uncertain atmosphere. The framers of the Constitution thought that it was right for them to put, rightly so, because before that we had what we call the Ombudsman. Ombudsman 500, that was 400, that was repealed. The Ombudsman dealt strictly with administrative cases, but SHRAJ's Act added the human rights aspect to it. So I was then lucky to be employed as an assistant investigator, first of all, after finishing my service and doing some few things. The opportunity came and I was employed. Interestingly, the current SHRAJ commissioner, he was the one who interviewed me and then employed me. He was my regional director, Joseph Whittal. Yes, and he comes from Bulsa district. He's a prince from yeah. So I've worked there for about 10 years in the region as an investigator.
What was the most interesting or most unusual case you?
The cases were many, but most of the cases that I tackled were maintenance cases by couples, especially on the part of people or couples who had children, and then their husband neglected their fatherly responsibility by taking care of their school fees, their chop money, if I may use that loosely, rent, and all those responsibilities that goes with men. Sometimes they separate from the woman and then the children. It's very interesting cases that I handled at the time, and I handled it to the best of my ability. And remember that SHRAJ is an institution that you don't pay a dime for the work that you do, or for complainants who come in and lodge their complaint for investigations. That money is supposed to be charged on the budget of SHRAJ. But if you want the work to be done, you must sometimes use your own resources, and that was what I did. And SHRAJ became so popular in the Bulsa district, and when I moved to the regional office, it became so. The first time I entered into the courtroom was about a man who had abandoned the wife and about 7 children. And we were tackling this issue, and the man was extremely difficult and uncompromising our respondent in the case. But I took it upon myself. Sometimes I had to pick the woman from Sanema to Bolga and I bear the lorry fare and whatever money that I gave.
How long is that journey?
Oh, it has been long. I remember.
1 hour, 2 hours by road?
No, from Sanoma it's about 45 minutes to 1 hour.
Right.
And then the roads and then the transportation at the time was a problem. I remember I handled a lot of Chirac cases. I went to court because while I was handling the case, the husband or the respondent went and took a lawyer and filed for custody of the children.
Okay.
So I then rushed to Bolga to inform my regional director and our legal officer, currently Bob Tita. Interestingly, my legal officer taught me in school. And when I went there, he told me that, you see, this issue, I have to let it go because Chirac is not into custody. And I said, no, we couldn't have been leading this woman up to a point and then leave her desperate. So I went and he told me I should go and then talk to the legal officer. You know who was the legal aid officer at the time?
Who?
Ajit.
Who is Ajit?
Ajit, the High Court judge.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that got involved in this judicial issues. He was a legal aid, so I went there. I nearly had confrontation with him. Seriously, you won't believe that's how the world is. And beyond that, yes.
You need to write a book also.
a lot.
I mean, books are all the rage.
Yes.
You know?
And finally, the long and short of it is that I challenged him why he was handling the case of the respondent, because he was supposed to tackle cases of, what do you call it, people who cannot pay for the services of a private counsel. He went and looked for a legal officer who was then with GES for him to handle the case. The long and short, at the court day, when the case was called, Ajit came for his client. The woman that I was representing in Chirac had no lawyer. The woman started panicking. The woman got up and stood. So I also got up and moved to the woman and stood by the woman. So the judge asked me, young man, what is the problem? And I narrated the events. The man looked down and wrote her and said, okay, young man, the next time you must ensure that the lawyer comes to the court.
Exactly.
So the case was adjourned. The next time the lawyer didn't come, I stood up again. So this time, because it was involving children, the judge made us to enter his room for the cases to be determined. When I entered them, I had confrontation with Ajit again. He even took me on. You know, these lawyers, they don't want to be confronted. Then later on, when we came out, the judge ordered that the children should be brought to court. And that's the juiciest aspect of the case. When the children were brought to court, the man came, the woman's lawyer didn't come. And one of the children was wearing a torn school uniform. And they were lined up like that, about 7 of them. And I just asked him, is that your child? He said, yes. Why is he wearing a torn uniform? Now the woman intentionally wore the child, that torn uniform for sympathy. Then I just said, is that it? So you are going in to tell the judge that the woman intentionally put on a torn uniform for the child. Then from today going, I am going. The money used for me for my legal fees, give it to the woman to take care. And I just left the case, and we handled the case to the effect of my ability. We resolved the matter. There was one also involved, and the teacher who was involved in that case, he taught me in school. It was the same scenario. And when he came for the case to be determined, he told at a point on that TV, do you know I taught you in school? I said, yes, sir, you taught me in school. But you see, you taught me in school for me to be a good investigator. Exactly. and to handle these cases.
Yeah, so put emotions aside.
so put them aside.
You won again?
Yes, I won that case. There was one to involving my direct uncle.
Okay.
He even appeared, my junior uncle. And I said, Tim, do you know that you call me your father? I said, yes, I call you your father.
And you still went ahead.
And I still went ahead. It was a very difficult case. Very difficult case. I can go on and on. But I think that
you've given us 3 stories already.
Yeah.
Put the rest in the book.
We would do that,
So that
and
we can
then
fly around and we can all read it.
then we can read
All right.
it. I am Timothy Atabada Wentirim. I am not our sister Yvonne Nelson, but I think Yvonne did well. No matter how you look at the issue,
think so?
The fact that he has been able to pour her heart out there, say the truth. It's like he's confessing to her maker. And we must always confess our sins. You understand? So for me, I think she did well. It's early days yet, but as the story is unfolding, we are going to get it takes people who are bold to face their past and to carve a path for themselves in the future. Here's a young lady, she's gone through all those challenges like most people go through those. When you are growing up, there's so much exuberance, there's so much expectations. When they are not properly managed, or you are not being guided, teleguided into your future, you make mistakes. But when you make them, those are the mistakes that will carve a path, a righteous path for you to move into the future. I tell you that I give her kudos. Even look at what the lady said, and I like it.
You've been reading the book small.
Oh, yesterday I was, she said that, look, some friends and I went to congratulate the president-elect, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, with whom we took a photograph. It is a photograph I regret taking. Unfortunately for Ghana and for those who trusted in him, he has turned out to be a monumental disappointment, whose government's unbridled borrowing, corruption, and reckless spending plunged the nation into an economic doomsday. That's deep. If such a lady can bring out this, it's deep.
And you just had that on your phone, right?
Yeah, no.
Why wouldn't
you
have that?
No.
Why wouldn't you have that?
Oh,
You've forgotten the part where she said that when they were going for the demonstration, she had to run from her house. Even the security in the estate was picked up and locked because he was picked up and locked because Yvonne Nelson was going to do a demonstration on Doomsaw. And the father called her to warn her, relatives called her to warn her, but she was adamant and said that, listen, if it's something I have to do, I have to do. That's why he didn't see it on his phone.
Is it on your phone?
It's not
I have quoted I have quoted what I like.
You should also quote her.
And he even chew and pour in your head. You are like a bad student. You know, when you are teaching the students, they'll be waiting if they'll go and chew and pour. You have not even written it down. I've written mine down. And you are quoting what I should say.
I'm a brilliant student.
You are a brilliant student.
Yeah.
I'm a genius.
You've elevated
You are genius by reading from your phone.
Not that I'm reading from. What I said encapsulates exactly the picture that we are seeing right now, because it beats my mind. A young lady writing about is it biography?
It's autobiography.
Autobiography about herself could slot in this aspect of it. It will stand the test of time.
You remember?
And even writers in future we are going to.
No, you should ask her. Has he bought the book?
She's doing a book signing today. She's doing a book signing today.
No, have you bought the book?
I will be buying.
When?
That is not your problem.
You should support her.
So are you getting
If you say she's
so
brilliant,
for me,
support
I
her.
think that she did well.
She did well.
People should not necessarily take in one. A lot of writers have died with whatever that.
Yeah.
And
she brought it out.
out.
Okay, let me ask Alfred, have you read the book? Have you read I'm Not Yvonne Nelson?
You only went and read where you are talking about NDC.
Are you done? I haven't read the book, but I've watched or I've listened to or read some snippets from things that she's written all around.
Okay.
What he's saying is very interesting. You remember when I was talking about Asamoah Gyan, I said you can do so well, but one little error can misguide you and people will judge you. But you know what? You always become a king after you've finished. People will praise you after you've finished. She might see the president now as, it's bad I took a picture with him, and because of the global economic crunch that is going on. But it doesn't matter. Even with all the global economic crunch that is ongoing, they are still facing and crossing the hurdles one after another. I would say kudos to her for the book she's written. There are so many things in there. Some good.
Which you haven't read.
No. I've got a lot of. Let me tell you something. Even after the book launch,
yes.
Someone drove straight to my house with the book.
Kai.
Straight to my house with the book that evening. And I said, where was the launch? She said that Peduase. Yeah. And I said, oh wow, okay. And there are certain things I wouldn't, in natural sense, I wouldn't write. Like the mother saying that your mother, you had to check on your father and you had to go and do DNA and everything, and all these things affected you because you know
your father, don't you?
They said every woman knows.
No, but you know your
child.
As a
question, you know your father.
Do you not know your father?
Yes, I know.
Don't you think every child has a right to know who their father is?
Yeah, they have, and that is what I'm saying. That every woman is supposed to know the man who impregnates her.
And so is And every child should know their father.
Yeah, I agree with that. But you see, for it to come out, you take the good side, you take the bad side. I'm saying that, yes, she has to know her father. She felt peeved by the mother not telling her all these things. But it also cast a slur on the mom. So are you going to lose both? That's where I have my challenge.
So if you were her, you would not write, you would not put this stuff in the book.
You faced there. I faced you already. Between the two of us, I faced you. I let go and I move on.
But maybe this book may bring out her father, because I don't want to spoil it for you because you haven't read the book. But the last page of the book has an interesting thing there that may.
But somewhere in there, she wrote that the one Mr. Nelson called her when she was going to do the doom sort thing, isn't it?
No, it's beyond that. I'm talking about the last page of the book.
So I should go and read the last page.
Yes, I'm not going to tell you. So go
I should go and read the last
page.
page.
The last page will give you the reason why she wrote the book.
And Timothy would buy one for me.
Buy one for you, yes.
You know, Kafui, they've often said that the truth runs marathon, lies run sprints.
Okay.
And the truth shall always win the marathon race, no matter how you hide it. I think what he has written is a clear depiction of what he feels. That's an innermost spirit that came out. It's going to serve as a soothing, a relief to her soul.
Wow.
And to ginger her to move into the unknown future.
Are you a psychologist?
Even if you are not a psychologist, under this government, you must find a professional as a psychologist for yourself, so that you'll be able to withstand the fronts and smiles of the changing times within this government that we have never experienced.
If you can't take care of yourself.
And you see, he has talked about the fact that there were some things that he wouldn't have put there. Yes, but that's what you think is best. Yes. Yeah. There are other authors who they feel that they must put out these things, not just because of her, but some similar people in the future who are going through trauma, psychological challenges as a result of what she went through. It will serve as a relief, a respite to people who read this book and even quote some of what the lady, and use it, especially gender activists, to motivate other people.
The politicians like you who also use
pain.
Who also use
unforgiving spirits have destroyed them. You know what?
Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said?
You can relate.
Timo, did you hear what he said?
Yes.
And you didn't respond to that one.
No, it's
says
not
you
for
take
me.
the political angle that suits you and read it out, and that is the same thing that I'll respond with another political angle.
I've heard you. You know, just like we've been reading the Supreme Court rulings these days.
Yes.
Time will tell us, and time will test those rulings whether they can stand the test of time. Look, I was reading just a little about the memoirs of Prof. Detaban. Detaban was, in his memoir, he was saying that the rulings of the court, especially the court, should rather be a point that will rally the people together. A ruling should be said that they should not divide the people more. Such a way that if the two of us are in court battling, the judiciary becomes a point of settlement of cases. Even if I lose the case and he wins, I'll be satisfied with the due processes that I've taken through. But if the courts come out with kangaroo ruling, the processes are kangaroo, and they come out, obviously you've created pain.
What is a kangaroo?
When you don't, when due process is not followed. For instance,
courts were going on.
When due process is not followed in the execution of law, and then the steps are jumped or fast-tracked to win the sympathies of a political party or so, the processes become kangaroo. You know how kangaroo jumps? You know, it jumps. So the processes have been jumped from one point to the other. It becomes a kangaroo ruling.
Remember the kangaroo
and for me, I think that time
would tell
that the current Supreme Court judge in their ruling, because lawyers are going to review them, our children will review them, and they will just oppose the situation how it was ruled at that.
Okay.
And we've seen that even dissenting rules in law have rather become law instead of the main rule. And they will cite several examples to you.
We'll just wait for time.
We'll wait for time, and the time is just by the corner. It will show. It will show because some of them have started speaking up. Why some rule? And you know that brought the National Security Minister on his feet to say that if the ruling seems to be favoring the current government, it is security problem. So because at the next time I went to ruling, they gave us 2 and they gave us 7.
Which court brought that thing
The security minister Kandapa assessed the security situation vis-a-vis the Supreme Court ruling and said that the continuous giving the opposition 070, making the unanimous decisions, will not inure to the benefit of this country.
But you know, decisions are not like sharing oranges among classmates.
Yes, and they are also not like sharing kose to take cocoa. You see, they are also the decisions of the court should also, at the end of the day, engender togetherness. It should bring us together. It should not divide us for people to be calling you unanimous decision. You think that title is good. You are jealously guiding it, like the way they are jealously guiding the Buckingham Palace in London.
This continuous attacks on the rulings of the court from the opposition parties do not help us. And I use the word opposition parties because it seems like when every government is in power, the opposition party takes delight in attacking the courts and their rulings. I don't think it helps in our judicial process. I don't believe that when the kangaroo courts were in place, Timothy wasn't born. He was alive and he saw all those kangaroo courts.
That's my opinion. That is Timothy Atabade's opinion.
Allow him to finish. Thank you, sir.
So when the
from Timothy to Thompson, 2 T's. Thompson.
You know, when you are speaking the truth, people become fidgetry. They always want to fidget with something or say something that will destroy or distract your thoughts from flowing. But it doesn't matter. I understand where you are coming from. Being opposition is very difficult, and it brings about.
So do you benefit from being governor? Have you seen?
It brings about. Oh yes.
Is it hard to be in opposition?
So we are confessing.
That is why.
He's confessing.
How tough is it?
Let me finish my submission. Then we'll come to that as a topic as well. He knows. It's
tough, eh?
The man says he's.
So you are benefiting from being governor. I thought you want power to let the people of this country benefit.
But who said you are not letting the people of Ghana benefit?
Exposing to the people, even on TV.
No, who said you are not letting the people of Ghana benefit?
Even on TV, you cannot keep the secret.
You see the oppositional thoughts.
You see the secret that is coming out from him.
So coming back, you see, looking at the judgments and how they flow, they always tell you and they give reasons for why a judgment is passed. And that is why when you are critiquing it, you should be very careful. Because I remember Justice Bamford Addo said what? The justice lies in the bosom of the judge who rules. And after that, she became the Speaker of Parliament. They didn't say that what she said was wrong, but she became the speaker. So you see, everybody and how they look at situations. Maybe what you might look at it as A, I will look at it as C. We cannot say that because I see it as C, so I see it as a misjudgment. The critiquing of the courts are very, very essential. It can cause mayhem in any country. So I'll plead, especially with my brother on the opposite side who is suffering from opposition syndrome, to take his time, relax, read judgments, and ask questions on why maybe it's this way instead of that way, rather than criticizing it and bringing it down. It would not help in the democracy that we want to build.
What's the opposition syndrome? Is it some kind of medical condition? What is it? What's opposition
They have something called the opoblibli. And when you're in the opposition, opoblibli, you know opoblibli.
What language is that?
You shaky.
Oh, okay.
When they are there, they're always shaking.
Okay.
That is why sometimes they are forced to take flask and drink from it, because if you are not careful, you'll be shaking more. So the probably, let's put it aside and focus as a country and move this country in the right direction. We should move this country forward and not backwards. The country can never ever go backwards. We have over 30 million people, 32 plus million people to take care of. We don't need a continuous one person who wants to feel that I am in charge and I have to do it and I'm the only one who can do it.
Who are you referring to?
I haven't referred to anyone. I'm just telling
you. One person is in charge.
I'm telling the Ghanaian people that they shouldn't look at someone who feels that I have done it before, I'm in charge, I have to come and do it again. We have over 32 million people, different people, who can take care of this country. If you've done your bit, move on and let the country move forward, but not go backwards. It will not help. It will not help in building this country up.
Is your party really worried about the John Mahama candidacy?
Why have I mentioned anyone?
You have suggested it. I'm sending a message. I'm sending a message to Ghanaians.
No, that they shouldn't. I'm sending a message to Ghanaians. Yes, because we have over 32 million people who can take care of this country.
But not all 32 million will run for president.
At the same time, so only one person will run. So if you've done your bit, move on for another person to do. But you cannot think that you are the most wisest and the person with the best wisdom to control over 32 million people. You've done your bit.
This is not an authoritarian.
Even Jesus Christ did his bit. He didn't die and come back and say that listen, I'm come to control the world.
Jesus died and came back.
He's left us. When he came back, I'm saying that he didn't die and come back to come and control the world.
But he wasn't controlling the world when he was around.
He was in charge
of the world.
His disciples were following him.
Jesus was in charge of the world.
His disciples were following him. That's
what verse of the Bible are you reading?
When I'm saying something, don't take it in the opposition realm.
Oh,
take it.
You are telling me how to think?
No, take it in a real realm. That
when I say that was in charge of the world,
when I say that, but he was in charge
of the world.
Yes,
really.
That is his father is in charge. He is in charge as a son. The Spirit is in charge. The Spirit is still in charge. Don't you pray and ask for the Spirit?
Are you in Bible school?
Don't you pray and ask for the Spirit to control and guide you every time you are leaving your house? Do you? When you are speaking, in the spirit realm, come to the spirit realm and understand.
You're in the spirit realm now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But Mr. Mahama did not vote for himself to be flag bearer. They had thousands of people from.
Didn't you see what he did to Dr. Dufour?
What did he do?
They pressed the man to the extent that the man had to run.
He pressed him.
You don't know how they use machinations. You haven't done politics before.
No, I'm not a politician.
Oh, okay, that's right. He knows that's why he's laughing.
I'm not a politician.
You don't need to talk much. You press things. Well, the moment you start pressing things, people will run helter skelter.
How do you know this?
Oh,
you've been pressing things too.
The man went to court and later on he even withdrew the case and said that, you know what, take it. It's yours, take it. If you want to win, take it, it's yours. I won't even fight again.
But why should the issues be of concern to you? Why should NDC issues be of concern to you?
Oh, because the opposition is supposed to be a credible group that will put the government on its toes.
Okay.
That will make a government set up. That will show that, listen, if you are not working, we are the better alternative.
That's why they always punch holes in your
Now,
policy.
when you see the opposition not being a better alternative, you have to be scared. Because if the worst case scenario happens, and we are supposed to hand over power, you hand over power to the people who they are not a better alternative.
But you know, it's not NDC people who, it's Ghanaians who, majority of Ghanaians
that's
who
what,
vote
that's
for
what you are saying.
So you are afraid that they will convince Ghanaians to vote for them?
Oh, the lies, the propaganda, they still haven't changed in it. When Timo came this morning, from when he met me till we came to City, it's so propaganda. He was, when he says it and I look at him, then he starts laughing. He knows. But I'm not scared. I'm not worried because Ghanaians know what is good and what is bad. That's why I say you should come to Asen. Before they went to Asen, they were telling everybody everywhere that, oh, we are now going to put bulldozers there and do the roads and do this and build schools and things. We've built the structures and things. The job we've done there, we've done over 120 jobs. And out of the 120, 90 of them are complete or maybe about 90%.
When you say jobs, what are you talking about?
I mean different jobs, schools, roads, things, infrastructure.
From when? What's the time period? From when?
From the time we took over power, in 2017 till date. And we are still working.
So is that what's going to get the victory for you?
So they shouldn't go out and say that we are now going to put bulldozers there to work. Secondly, they go and tell the people that, oh, we took Judge Kwesen out because we want to pass the gay law so that a man can sleep, a woman can sleep. And that is why we are taking Judge Kwesen out to get the majority in parliament to do that. I mean, such feeble and infantile campaign. You ask yourself, are these people serious? Do they really take the concerns of Ghanaians at heart?
So what will win Asen North for the NPP?
They know that we are hardworking. They know that we don't joke with what we do. They know that we go according to what we want to do for them. And with all the things that we've said we are doing. So they know that we are not joking as a party or as a government. And we are going to put every necessary measure in place. Tuesday coming, you see the victory that is going to come out.
If you should win, then what will be the numbers in Parliament for you?
It will be, I think, 139 as against 136 or so.
Currently, it's about 138.
138 and 137 plus one independent.
Okay.
So when you add the independent who has affiliated to the majority side, it becomes 138. So when we move 138 from 137, it will be 136, 139. If you want to pass a gay bill or anything less than, there doesn't need to go to Parliament, where President has stated categorically and stated in church that it will not be under his watch or under his government that we will pass the gay bill for gay to be legalized. He stated categorically. They don't want to listen to that. They have their own propaganda they are using. We leave it to them. We leave it to Ghanaians to judge.
Mr. Atabode, I mean, what does it take for the MDC to win as in North?
Lies and propaganda.
You see, they say action speaks louder than words. Let your actions speak for you. Not let your words speak for you.
I'll respond to you.
And it is not different from what Bawumia said that when he was launching, when he went to file, he said that politicians should not be judged by what they say, but by what they do. I think it's what he said. Let your actions speak louder than what you are doing. Today, as we speak, both political parties and any political party is winning, and acceptability is not determined by the core members of that partyship. It is determined by more than the 30 million people of this country, because any government that is in power controls the resources of this country and how judicious those resources will be used to the benefit of each and everyone within this country. My brother, he talked about a lot of things, from misquoting the Bible to issues that are not even part of this issue. Look, even today, your government, led by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa, is attacking rating agencies. Why did the rating agencies go wrong? The same rating agencies rated you, that enabled you to go and take over $13 billion. By that rating, by their positive rating, they gave you a clean balance sheet to go out there. If you had used the money for capital investment that will benefit the people of this country, you will not need ratings to rate you or to go out. In fact, the people of Ghana would have rated you. In any case, subtly, the president is worried because they've been banned from the capital market. And the benefit they get as individual when they go to the capital market is what the president is actually worried about, and not the benefit that it will bring to the people of this country.
How do you know? Are you in his head?
Yes, because he has attacked them. He said that they are reckless rating.
Yes, we've heard what he said, but
Yes,
the motives, he hasn't said.
Why don't you, the optics, I'm talking about optics, my brother. I am telling you that subtly, the president and his cousin, Ken Ofori-Atta, are worried because anytime they go to the capital market, remember they benefit. Remember, data ban benefits.
In the same bed with the
So the way they ban them, that benefit has been cut off. He's not worried because the continuous borrowing is going to inure to the people of this country, because we've seen what they've used the money for. Where we are today, little things like even school feeding. Children are still at home. We cannot provide feeding for them. Textbooks, schools' calendar are epileptic. People cannot track what their wards are doing in school. Parents are paying more than your deceptive free HSS. Parents are paying, they are under excruciating pain. How much they pay? For they are still under free HSS. Everything under you is collapsing from one stage to the other.
You are describing what you say as problems. Give us solutions. You are supposed to be a government in waiting.
You want an incompetent people like he has regurgitated this one to give you solutions. Indeed, we'll give the solution to the people of this country and not MPP.
Okay, so the people of this country are watching GTV.
Yes, so we'll give.
So they want to hear you.
Yes, that is why one of the
GTV,
yes,
they're watching you.
The surest, even the president has talked. Our current candidate, God willing, he will become the president of this country, and the economy will bounce back on its...
How?
Would bounce back.
That is not
as we left it for you.
That's not a solution.
At our time, Kafuya, listen to me, when we rated B3, Bawumia described it as a junk economy. When we rated B3, today the last rating they had was RD, restrictive what? Default. It's not junk.
How do you describe that one?
It's completely condemned because it moved from junk to CCC.
Which one is complete condemned?
The economy is condemned as we see today. Look at even pension holders, the bond holders are having their haircuts. They cannot even buy their BP drugs. They cannot pay for people who are serving them at this their old age. The price of items are escalating.
You don't buy
your inflation is the third worst in the country apart from Sudan and Zimbabwe.
You don't appreciate
food inflation is going on the rooftop.
Do you appreciate the fact that we are in
fuel is going high? Economic crunch. Now who caused them? Who did it? Who spent recklessly? If you borrow, and these are some of the expenditures they push the money into, 50 million spent on car tires and batteries in 9 months.
Cedis or dollar?
Cedis. 59 million spent on operational enhancement of the president in Nama. That included the bathroom of the president in the plane. You remember?
Where are you getting this number?
This is from the budget. You know when they presented their addition to I'm reading from there, from Parliament.
No, I just want to
it's captured, yes. It's captured there. MP, it captured the 17 million spent on president's regional tour. 4.8 million spent on just 1 day cabinet retreat. Can you imagine? You dissipate the money like that? 6.5 million spent on the procurement of new vehicles at the presidency in 9 months. 6.6 million spent on office equipment, furniture, and fittings at the presidency in 9 months.
Okay.
4 million.
We get the point, though.
You get the point.
Yes.
Even do you know that under your government, the finance minister was able to dole out 10 million. You're a banker, you know this. From ADB Bank to McDan. Without board approval, that's the people share. But I've been with ADB for the past 20 years. Even if I go for one city, you know how you are taken through. 60 million money was given to Wuntum, your original chairman, to do farming.
So these are.
I am just telling how they dissipate national resources that belongs to all of us.
What's the solution?
The solution is amply captured in the Auditor General's report, who criticized them for spending a colossal amount of 52 billion without nothing, and he made his recommendations in it, and that they should go after those who took the money without the rightful receipts.
So that's what you do.
The solution is anchored and is in the fact that the COVID money, over 22 billion, was dissipated and given to party apparatchiks.
That's not a solution. That's a fact.
When you expose the problem, what it does is that when you expose the problem, the 22 billion the people man has been sent, the solution lies in there, because you need to go after the people. You need to prosecute those who are involved in doing that.
So the next NDC government,
even before the one we handed over to them, the audit report that we handed over them to do, is was only 800 Ghana. That the auditors found out that it has been misused, stolen, and misapplied. 800 moved to 12.3 billion the first year they came to power. It is the problems are so many that you cannot get the head and tail of it. We are going to run, like President John Ramani talked about, that when we win power, first of all, you must reduce your expenditure on the executive. And he has talked about the fact that he's not going to run more than 60 ministers, both cabinet. That alone is colossal.
They told us which ministries will go.
No, when the manifesto come out, the details will be there.
These are just
Kafu, you know that manifestos, they'll take a time for everything has a program. It's a program lineup. You don't just bring, because when you bring it, there are people who are stealers. They will steal your manifesto. You understand?
No, but if they don't have the spirit behind the manifesto, they can steal. They won't know how to do it.
It doesn't matter, but they'll steal. We are politicians, we know. I won't allow you to steal my manifesto, do a bad critique over it, and destroy my plans. Every political season is there to do this.
Is it possible to steal a manifesto, though?
Yes.
Have you guys done it before?
We haven't stolen anyone. We haven't stolen anyone's money. But if someone has stolen our manifesto, it's for that fellow to answer it.
You haven't taken ideas from other people's manifestos. Let's put stealing aside. You've not creatively appropriated ideas.
No,
from
what our manifesto is taken from hearing from the grassroots.
Yeah,
that we did.
Okay.
And we even take part from the Constitution of Ghana that guides all of us.
Okay, so what did they take from your manifesto?
What did they take? Let those who took it answer. I will not answer that.
Okay.
So the issue is that we go to the grassroots to listen to the people. That's what called the People's Manifesto.
Alfred, where do you guys go?
You won't allow me.
No, I'm just trying to bounce off what you're saying. Yeah.
You see,
they say it's a good book. How do you do your manifesto?
It's quite funny how he sat here. You asked him one simple question: what is the solution for this economic crunch that you're talking about? And he started reading.
No,
reading
I
the
haven't
whole
finished.
Passage. Oh, Master, take your time.
If you allow me, I'll
He
come
read
to other
a whole
sectors.
passage.
How do you?
He allowed you everything.
Kafui.
He allowed you
Kafui,
everything.
You know that everything these
Timo,
people are
please,
running
please,
on is on our back, is on our policies.
I have the floor.
Let's give
Can
him
I
a couple of
flow?
minutes and then you get to speak to him.
You gave him all the chance.
Please go
And
ahead.
That's
kept
not
on-
his time. It's
Now
still
you
my
are using
time.
your time
Oh, don't
to
worry.
complain about not
No,
getting
Kafui,
enough
that
time,
is
and you are wasting
even
your own
not
time.
his
Don't
time.
worry,
It's
I'm
my time. You know, you say you should come
I'm
and then you come.
exposing the hypocrisy and the non-thinking of I am outside the box of the NDC people. You asked him so many times, not once, not twice.
I've started
more
one.
than 3 times.
You say you
And
want to
asked him
bounce
that,
him off.
What is the solution? Then he started reading, and the Auditor General said this, and now you are the Auditor General, and this is the Auditor General. So they now profess and understand the Auditor General's report against their promises that they gave. These are the same people. When we said that, listen, free SHS is possible, they said it will take 20 years.
You see, Kafui.
They said it will take 20 years. They said we cannot do it. We said we can do it, and we did it. If not for the challenges, the economic crunch, the global challenges that have gone on, we would have seen the flow of the free SHS and build upon it. But even with all the challenges, we've stated that, listen, we are going to solve it one after the other and put things in place, because we are not going to abolish free SHS. We have stated categorically.
Non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. We
No,
will
who
not
say you should
abolish
abolish
it.
it? Kafui, don't
We
allow
are
him.
going
Who
to
say you
make
should
sure.
have a time
Oh,
to
please,
respond.
you have
All
your
right.
time. Write it down. You have a book there. Even me, I don't have a book. I put it in my head.
He says he's a genius. Geniuses write things down.
And me, I put it in my head. I'm sharp, so I can always remember what he's saying and rebut them. We've gone to a situation where you haven't done anything, and you can't do anything. Kafui, you sitting here, if I ask you what was the biggest campaign promise of 2016 NDC, you wouldn't remember, would you? You don't remember their campaign promise they gave, but we gave free SHS and we delivered. We gave one district, one factory, and we are delivering.
Did you hear your trade minister?
So it tells you straight away that MPP talks and they deliver. And you remember them for everything that they say. And you sit here and come and tell us that we steal from your manifesto. You don't even understand. When it got to the crunch, when they saw that free SHS was good, what did they start saying? They started saying that, oh, but we started doing free SHS 5 years ago, and we're doing it on pilot basis. Excuse me, which pilot?
Let me ask the same question.
Maybe.
What is going to win the election for the MPP?
Our performance. Right from A to Z, our performance. You talked about you talked about borrowings and over borrowings and going on to the world market to borrow. When we were leaving government in 2008, when we handed over 2009 January, our total debt stock, and I use dollar because we pay almost all our debts in dollars. Our total debt stock was $9 billion. Write it down. Then in 2016, when they were leaving government, they had moved it to $30 billion.
So 9 to 30.
That's a difference of what? $21 billion. Yeah. As we speak now, our total debt stock is $43 billion. $43 billion. And you sit here and tell us that we have overborrowed.
Haven't you used more CDs to get those dollars? Because our exchange rate from 2008 to now is completely different.
You see?
It's completely different.
Exchange rate.
You use more CDs to find a dollar.
Exchange rate goes up and down.
It goes up and down.
It goes up and down. But it's going up and it's come down. It's going up to 16 and come down to 12.
Where are we now?
You're about 11 point something.
Where were we in 2008?
2008, you're about, let's say, about 5 or so.
5 CDs?
Yeah.
2008.
Oh, 2008.
I'll have that confirmed.
Wait, 2008 when we were leaving
When
government.
President Kufuor was leaving?
It was 1.1,
Okay.
1.09, so 1.1.
In percentages, that's some crazy jump, man.
No, it's
from
not.
1.1 to what? Where are we now? 12?
When you
You
look
were
at
12.
when you look at when they were handing over,
They even
that is
sent
in,
it.
around 2012, 2016 to now. Yes, we've jumped, but what happened? We all know what happened in the world where currencies were crashing. Weren't they? We can't deny that fact. We can't lie to Ghanaians that in the world currencies were not crashing. Everywhere, things were going bad. But what happened? We took a decision outside the box and stabilized the cedi. And we are bringing it down. It moved from 16. It got to a time when it was about 15, 16, and has come down to about 11 point something. So it tells you straight away that still we are working on it. And you sit here and you come and condemn us as a government. You, when you could not put any boots on and perform anything right during your tenure, 8 years of your rule. And then you come and sit here, the first thing you do is to condemn Dr. Bawumia. I asked one question when I was going around the country, and I was talking to people. I asked them why we should bring a candidate, maybe Dr. Bawumia, against President Mahama. And one thing they asked me, they said I should show within the Fourth Republic one vice president that has worked and pushed policies more than Dr. Bawumia. So I started from Rawlings's time. I said the first person was Aka. What do you remember Aka for when it comes to policy-driven things? We don't remember him for anything, apart from him being slapped at a cabinet meeting by his boss. That is NDC for you. Then it went to Professor Atta Mills when he was vice president. What do we remember him for? For policy-driven things? Nothing. Then it comes to J. Kufuor. Under him came Aliyu Mahama. Policy-driven things. The only thing I can say is maybe when the madman took the cane and went to lash someone there when he was talking about the clean Ghana. So that is what I remember him for. But nothing pushing for policy-driven. That will change the whole country and move it ahead. Clean Ghana, good, very good initiative. Then we come to President Atta Mills. His vice president at that time was President and at that time Vice President Mahama. Tell me what he did as a vice president that we'll remember him for, apart from the the airplane saga issue that he was investigated. Apart from that one, what do you remember him for as vice president? Nothing. Then we come to Emisata. Emisata, what do you remember him for? Policy issues. Nothing. Now we come to President Akufo-Addo. What do you remember Dr. Bawumia for? When we talk about the renewal of NHIA, he's A1 on it. We talk about paperless sport, he's A1 on it. We talk about digitalization.
Are they his policies or the president's policies?
But he drove them. He drove them.
We have an executive president. He
But
takes
he
credit
drove them.
for all
You
these
see,
things.
when a vice president
They were not his ideas. They were the president's
Kafi,
promises.
let me explain something to you. When a vice president decide to underperform or not perform and sit there and wait for things to be done, you will not perform. But this is someone who has led those policies and driven them to the core.
They are not his
And
policies. They are the president's policies.
He worked under the presidency.
Yes,
definitely.
every vice president works under the president. Come on.
Tell me the vice president who worked under the president that pushed those policies, any policy to come out. Tell me one vice president that has pushed a policy to come out. One policy. Just one. Give me one. Under the president, his boss, he's pushed the policy to come out. That has worked. That has helped the country.
The counter argument also is that the vice president is in charge of the economic management team.
Yes.
The economy is not doing great.
Yes,
So
we
how
all
about
know
that?
that
Does he accept
globally.
that?
We all
Does he accept that as
we
well?
all
Do you
know that
accept that as well?
globally. I'm
So
coming.
now
We all
you're
know that
going global?
globally.
You're going global?
No.
You accept
But
that
I'm telling you about
when it's
policies
negative, you go global?
that has gone global too. These policies have gone global.
Really?
The what do you call it? This carrying of blood and things outside, sending it. The drones.
All right.
Tell me that.
So your argument is that the vice president's policies are making him attractive.
Haven't other countries come to study these drones from us?
All right. No, I get
This
you.
is what.
I get your
This is the person we need. This is
Okay.
the person that can lead. Not people who come and say that, oh, I've been there before. I know all the challenges. I've gone to learn my mistakes.
Alfred.
So you should give me the chance to lead
Alfred,
again.
I know he's speaking for the NDC, but are you speaking for Dr. Bawumia or the MPP?
I'm
party?
speaking for
Because
the
you have so many
MPP.
candidates who are trying to be president.
No, I'm
it looks
speaking
like
for
you
the
are flying the
no,
Bawumia
I'm
flag.
speaking for the MPP, but he condemned the vice president. So I'm telling him that even when your candidate was a vice president, he couldn't do jack.
So it's a contest of vice presidents and former vice
I'm
presidents.
giving him that. I'm giving him that challenge that he should tell me one policy,
All right.
apart from the airplane that he went to sign here and sign
we're
there.
wrapping.
That
We're wrapping
that
up.
even his own president was investigating him.
We are wrapping up, Alfred. I'm going to give you a couple minutes just to wrap up for us.
You know, I can't wrap up with all, but I'll try my best.
You try as well.
You know,
Don't get
one
distracted,
D,
right?
one D, one D,
Now,
one
one
F.
D, one F2, you can't
We
mention
have
it.
supported 48, not 60. Trade Minister clarified that. You know who? Is the new Trade Minister,
Mr. Katie
Katie
Hammond?
Hammond.
Say that what?
Yes, that's
Repeat
the 1D, 1F that you are talking about. He's saying that it's 48 you supported and not 60 that you have been touting.
Next point.
Beyond that, you see,
you see there are two
borrowing,
different categories.
There's nothing,
Please,
there's
you
nothing,
understand that.
Alfred,
When he
let me
brings
finish.
an issue up,
There's-
I'll face him on
we're
that.
almost done. We're almost done.
there's
When he finishes,
nothing
when he
wrong to
finishes.
borrow.
These are your concluding remarks.
There's
when he
nothing
finishes,
wrong
I'll
to
rebut
borrow.
that.
Let everybody understand it is what the
today
money
now
is
you know.
invested in. That is the issue. We build our trouble gas that is saving us $300 million a year from borrowing. We expanded the Tema port that is giving us over $200 million a year.
Okay.
The Terminal 3 that is giving us, we can go on and on. The rich hospital, the many infrastructure that is there. So to come and say we borrowed 30 billion, we can account individual for the money we use.
are you
for.
sure?
You borrowed
Are you
40
sure?
billion according to you. Translating into
I
other
said total-
revenues,
total.
over 845 billion Ghana cedis. And your best performance is the corruption title that you are having, which I'm not saying because the Auditor General says so. Right. And over the 845 billion you borrowed, you only invested 52 billion in infrastructure.
Okay.
So all the money has been used for mismanagement, reckless spending, stealing, corruption, you name them.
Okay.
And these have been captured in parliamentary Hansas.
Alrighty.
Now again, you said that we said we were going to implement the FHSS in how many years? 20 years. Deduct the 7 years that you are in power. From 20 years, how many years left for you to know that if indeed we did say that, it meant that we were even on the right path, because even with the implementation of it for what do you call it, for 7 years, the World Bank, the IMF, they are asking you to review your flagship program. As we told you, no one in Ghana has ever said they should cancel FHSS.
Breaking news, gentlemen. Breaking news. You are not going to like me very much because the show has ended.
You know what?
Yeah, you're not going to like me, and I accept that.
You haven't given me.
So that's why I said
What
you're not going to
again?
like
You
me.
spoke
You're not
the
going to
whole
like me.
period.
I don't like
You
you
still
because
want them to
I
give you
haven't
what?
treated you well.
To give you
I
what?
would
You haven't
train
treated me
is
well.
the former MP of
Today-
Stand Up.
today you should
They
take
will
careful
not like
to
me.
lunch.
Both of you will not like me. And Alfred Thompson, former banker, he's with the national communication team of the MPP. They don't like me, but it's okay. We continue with a conversation on World Drug Day and 20th anniversary of College Physicians and TNT. Thank you very much. We continue after this. Don't go anywhere.